All right, I filed 22T00728FY, people of the state of Michigan versus Jalen Roberson, and attorneys, if you can place your appearances on the record, please.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney William Walser, P84181 on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Fred Myers, attorney on behalf of Mr. Roberson. He's in the box here to my right. We're going to ask the court to allow us to waive this matter over to circuit court where a plea would be taken and a request will be made under the Home Suitable Trainee Act.
Okay.
And from my understanding of process and procedure, the circuit court judges want to take the pleas on these.
Which is what I prefer as well with a HIDA plea, because if the circuit court judge doesn't accept the case under HIDA, then they're probably going to come back anyway. So it's better for judicial economy for them to take the plea in these type of matters anyway. So is this the one I can use? All right, I do need the examination waiver signed by everyone though, so if you can do that.
Oh, thank you.
You understand you have the right to appoint an attorney, correct? You have a right to request a court appointed attorney if you're unable to afford one, correct?
You have a right to a preliminary exam where it must be shown that a crime was committed and probable cause exists to charge you with that crime. You understand that? Stand up.
You're waiving your right to a preliminary exam where we're going over to Judge Patel and we're requesting the Home Suitable Trainee Act on the charges. You understand? Sign right there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Changed it from Michael Bethel to me.
Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Roberson, your attorney did just state that he believes that you want to waive your preliminary examination today because you want to go to circuit court where you're going to enter a plea and ask the judge to accept that plea under the Homes Useful Trainee Act. Is that what you want to do? Okay. I just heard your attorney as well. Usually I read the examination waiver. I would read the examination waiver to you, but I actually just heard Attorney Myers read it to you just now. Do you need me to read that to you again? All right, you understand everything that's on the examination waiver? You understand you could have had a preliminary examination if you had wanted one, but because of the plea, you're going to go straight to circuit court. Okay. And this is your signature on the form, correct? I'm sorry, raise your right hand for me real quick. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're waiving your preliminary exam?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and attorneys, you have both signed as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, I am signing the preliminary examination waiver. Also, this matter will be bound over to circuit court for Mr. Roberson to go to circuit court to enter his plea. Matter will be sent to Judge Patel, and Judge Patel's office will be setting the next court date. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we end today?
I respectfully request the court to allow me to address bond.
Yes, go ahead.
Your Honor, this case got caught up in a few things. Number one, it got caught up in the COVID situation. I think as the court can notice, this matter happened almost 3 years ago to the date being August 5th, 2020. Number two, he was not aware that the warrants got issued, and I think it kind of got lost within the COVID process back when they got issued. According to this, the signature, I see a warrant authorized on March 16th of 22, so that was almost 2 years later. And then three, a Michael Bechtel, and if I remember who that is, he went to work for Julia Black. And he dropped some, I got assigned this case. He just dropped his cases and they reassigned this case to me in June. So through no fault of his own, in my opinion, he would have appeared had he known who to contact and who to appear, with and, from. I've told him if I was able to get a PR bond, that he is to have no contact whatsoever with Haley Barrington. And he promises me he has not, will not, and shall not have contact with her. He, although he does have a side job, he will obtain employment. He will live at the 2405 Forest Hill Avenue as outlined on the complaint where he has lived. And I see no reason to think he won't not appear for court. I have phone numbers for his dad, who I have spoken to. And I do have a phone number for him, but I have a strong suspicion that probably is not working. He has my card and will contact me immediately upon being released. For the court's information, it currently is set at a $5,000 cash or surety. He just financially does not have the money to post the $500 that it would be. So I think we're almost even to that point where a PR bond could work for him. I respectfully request that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Attorney Belser?
Your Honor, the people take no position.
And he certainly won't get his plea bargain if he has any more trouble. He'll lose so I mean, he has a lot riding on all this.
Well, I'm not sure, Attorney Myers, if you know the history of this case, but back in September of 2022, Mr. Roberson was with us. He had been originally arraigned in August of 2022 at a hearing that we had in September of 2022. His then attorney requested that he be released on a personal recognizance bond. I did so, and at that point, he was on tether. So I removed the tether requirement at the request of the attorney with the promise that Mr. Roberson would attend his future court hearings, remove the tether, and he did not show back up thereafter. We had to issue a bench warrant for him, and he was picked up on the bench warrant, and that is why he is now here with us today. So I agree with everything you've said, and I would change the bond if Mr. Roberson hadn't not attended after I removed the tether last time. So he actually has shown the court that he has no intention of coming back. And I am worried, as you said, Attorney Myers, that Mr. Roberson won't come back and then he'll lose the HIDA plea deal. And quite frankly, it is a very good offer, Mr. Roberson, and I want you to be able to take advantage of that. And I don't want you to get yourself in the way of it. And I do think you're a flight risk. So I'm going to deny his bond request. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. No, you know, we'll wait though. That's a judge.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge.
So
You're welcome. Thank you.
Most important.
Is it, wait, this Thursday, right? This Thursday in person?
No,
Yes.
a week from
Thursday.
don't show up this
I
Thursday.
definitely would. I don't know.
You can come see us in Burton on Thursday if you want to. That's fine.
See ya.
See ya.
Done.
But they are the things I need to go and talk to people about anyway, so we'll see. Whatever works out first.
Good to go? All right. I have 22T02364FY, people of the state of Michigan versus Dolores Ann Fox. And attorneys, place your appearances on the record, please.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney William Balser, PA 4181, on behalf of people who are.
Ashley Patricius on behalf of Dolores Fox, who is also present, standing to my right.
All right, thank you. Today is the date and time set for a preliminary examination in this matter. This matter was previously set for a plea. We are here on July 11th, and the plea did not occur at that time, so we set the matter for exam today. Attorney Patricius, is your client wishing to hold the exam today, or is she wishing to enter a plea today?
Yes, we are ready to hold the exam today, Your Honor.
Exam, okay. Attorney Belser, are you ready to proceed?
Your Honor, I was actually just about to step out and see if I had my troopers here. I'm sure that I am, but I haven't had an opportunity to make sure. We're here.
This plea agreement form, I'm going to shred, correct? Because this is no longer, okay, just for clarification of the file. All right, then we will set this matter aside, and when we're ready to go on the exam, I'll call you back. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
And attorney. Attorney Blanchard, what's the name on your file?
Ford, F-O-A-R-D.
Yeah.
Confused. All right, I'm gonna call case number 23T00961FY, people of the state of Michigan versus Kellen Juwan Ford, and attorneys, place your appearances on the record, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Tracy Meyer on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Frederick Blanchard with Mr. Ford.
All right, thank you. Today is the date and time set for a preliminary examination in this matter, and let everyone know I'm not necessarily ready to call the exam. I just want to know what the plan is for today. Are we holding a preliminary examination?
We are, Your Honor. People are ready.
We are, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, give us a few minutes to figure out what's going on with our other cases, and then we will call this matter.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Mauser waiting for Mr. Manuel? That will also be. Sure. You're ready to do it. This gentleman is holding, he's here from MDOC today.
Yeah, okay, right, that's, which is,
Yes.
oh, that's all about. Okay, so if we do Ford now, and if we're still not ready on Manuel's case, we can do Fox, right? Okay. Is there anybody else that's here?
I'm just gonna picture my document. I can't find my document, so I don't know what we're doing this round. I don't know the schedule. There's so much on here. I can't.
Oh,
I think it's this afternoon.
11:30, plea.
Okay.
Plea at 11:30.
Oh, good.
So that should,
I'll keep
and McDermott. I think he had two at 11:30.
I don't miss the bill.
Yeah.
So he's 6.
Okay. All right, let's go back on the record then. Attorney Belser, I'm going to do the Ford exam now, and that will give you time to work on your other matters. Is that good? Okay. Two three T 00961 FY, people of the state of Michigan versus Kellen Juan Ford, and attorneys, one more time, please place your appearances on the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Meyer on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Judge. I'm Frederick Blanchard with Mr. Ford.
All right, today's the day and time set for a preliminary examination, and I've already spoken to the attorneys, and it seems everyone is ready to go on the preliminary examination. Are there any preliminary matters that we need to discuss before we get started?
Just briefly, Your Honor, if the testimony comes out like I anticipate it will, there may be an additional charge of felonious assault.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Attorney Blanchard?
Nothing.
All right, I do like to let everyone know that this court does stream on YouTube all of our court hearings, and so just so the attorneys are aware, we are live on YouTube right now. If there was some type of objection, I would hear that objection, but typically we do live stream for transparency purposes. So, all right, good. All right, let's go.
People call Sharonda Ford.
Actually, pause at the podium, please. Right there. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Yes.
All right, coming up, and you can have a seat right here on the witness stand. And then once you're seated, that microphone in front of you with the red light is a microphone, but it doesn't amplify your voice. It just records you. So please keep your voice up as loud as possible and make sure to answer in words and not head nods or uh-huhs or uh-uhs. Okay?
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, can you spell your first and last name for the record?
S like Sam, HARONDRA. Last name is F like Frank, OARD.
And ma'am, do you know Keelan Ford?
Keelan Ford, yes.
How do you know him?
He's my estranged spouse.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you identify him?
he's to my right.
Can you identify article of clothing he's wearing?
He's wearing a gray suit with a blue shirt.
Your Honor, may the record reflect identification.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so identified.
Back in October of 2022, where did you work?
Huntington National Bank in the Wealth Management Services Department, downtown Flint.
Where's that located?
It's on Saginaw Street, downtown Flint, just about 2 minutes.
With
That one.
328 Saginaw Street, give their address?
Yes,
City of Flint,
yes,
Genesee County, State of Michigan?
yes,
And you were working there, you indicated?
yes.
What happened on that day, if anything?
I received multiple phone calls from Keelan.
Were those phone calls on your cell phone or on your work line?
They were on my cell phone. I missed a call from my work phone, but I got several calls that were missed from my cell phone from Keelan. He was demanding to speak to me. He was upset about something. And he told me that he was going to come to see me.
And when you say he told you, how did he tell you?
He called me after like so many missed calls. I answered and I told him I was at work, and he said he did not care that I needed to talk to him right then. And then he said if I did not, he would come to my job. And he was living in Detroit, so I didn't understand what he meant exactly at the time. But that's what he said.
Did the phone call stop after that?
No, they continued. I just didn't answer anymore.
Did there come a point in time where he arrived at the 328 Saginaw Street location?
Yes,
What happened?
I got a message and a phone call from our security team because I was in a private unit stating that Keelan had arrived. Someone was waiting for me by the name of Keelan Ford, and he was demanding to see me.
What did you do in response to that information?
I told them that I was working and that I was not able to leave my unit to come down. And they told me that at that point he had become very belligerent and had exited the front door and was trying to gain access to me through the other doors.
What did you do?
They told me to stay put. We were in constant contact, so they told me just to stay put and they were gonna try and locate him. And I stayed put as I was instructed by our security team.
What happened after that, if anything?
He called me some more, and I answered because at that point, you know, he was on the unit, or he was at the door of the unit, and they had let me know he was there, and I asked him why was he there? And he told me that I better move my effing truck or he was going to blow it up.
And do you own or operate a truck at that point?
Yes, I owned a Nissan truck, and it was parked directly outside of the building on the street, on Kersley Street, adjacent to the building that I was working in.
Did he know what vehicle was yours?
Yes,
Had he ever been in that vehicle with you before?
yes,
Did you go out to move your vehicle?
yes, I went out to move my vehicle, because apparently at that time, when he said it was in front of security, that he would blow my car up. Security was somehow able to hear that conversation, and I got a call back from security saying, do you want to move your vehicle? And so I said, yes. I went out to the car to grab my vehicle. I parked it from off the street into the garage that was assigned to us. And I walked back into the building. And at that time, Mr. Ford was in his Camaro and he raced towards me.
When he raced towards you, where were you?
I was walking across the street into the building, towards the building.
And you were not in your vehicle at that point?
No, I had moved my vehicle.
And how do you know it was him?
Because it was his Camaro and I saw him, and then he did a U-turn as well, so I was able to see him close up.
And you indicated it was a high rate of speed?
Yes,
What gave you that impression?
because I had to run to avoid him being in close proximity to hit. And I knew that he was just turning from there's a light here, and he was just turning from that light when I went to cross. So by the time I actually got across the street, he was almost to me. So he had to have been speeding in order to gain that much footage in a short amount of time.
Okay. Did you make it back into the bank?
Yes.
What, was at the end of everything?
No, when he did the U-turn, he went down Kersley Street, towards the direction of my home. And about an hour later, I got another call from security stating that he had returned and he had sat a 60-inch TV that was busted up.
Objection, Your Honor. The continuing hearsay about what security said.
Response?
I think at this point she was describing what she saw.
No, she's describing what the security at Huntington Bank said to her.
I believe that was a testimony, as security told me that he was.
I'll rephrase, and at this point, I think she's just saying what, with the information, it wasn't offered for the truth and matter asserted, because there'll be further testimony that she did see, is my belief. So at this point, just saying what she did and why she did it, but I'll rephrase.
Okay, well, and if it's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted, then it wouldn't be hearsay, so the objection would be overruled in that sense. However, if it were offered for the truth of the matter asserted, obviously it would be sustained because it would be hearsay. All right, so go ahead and rephrase though.
Thank you. Did you get, without saying information, did you get information from security?
Yes, initially.
And what did you do in response to that information?
After I was notified that I needed to come down, they told me why. I went down, I left my unit, I went downstairs to the front desk where security is located. And my I believe it's either 60 or 65, but it's a large inch TV, was seated on top of the security desk, bashed all up from a hammer. And there was glass kind of like still falling out, and it was unplugged sitting on top of the security desk.
And how do you know that was your TV?
I recognized it, as well as when I returned home, it was missing. And then I took it, I removed it from the bank at some point and returned it to my, to my home and plugged it back up, and I saw that it was all bashed up, but it had the same, it was my serial showing, it was my TV.
When you left your home earlier that day, what was the condition of the TV?
It was perfectly fine, it was playing.
Was it damaged at all?
No,
Does the defendant live at your home?
no, he does not. He lived in Detroit. He had his own home for about several months before this occurred. We had separated due to infidelity, and we decided to live in separate homes and cities.
And where is your home located at?
My home is located in Flint, Michigan at 3613 Gratiot Avenue,
And that's Genesee County, State of Michigan.
Genesee County, State of Michigan.
Did you ever give him permission to enter your home?
No, in fact, we discussed that, and I told him he was not allowed or permitted into my home. And when he gained entrance to my home, he did not gain entrance with my permission. He went through a side window.
Was the window open?
Yes, the window was not closed all the way. That's how I knew, that's how he gained access.
When you left that morning, what was the condition of the window?
It was closed and all my doors were locked.
And when you returned home?
The window was open. The curtains were disheveled. And the area to come in from the side window that he used had been like moved around.
When, on the day that this happened, did you report it to anyone?
Yes,
Who did you report it to?
I reported it to the Flint Police Department. And at the time, it was really close to, I would say it was around 3. So I told them what had occurred, and they said you need to get a protective order against him, and they're gonna close at 4. So they took the information, or they talked to me about it, and they told me what you need to do is go there and get that done before 4. So that's active as quickly as possible. So I left there and I went and filed the PPO in this building.
What was your understanding about the status of what had happened at your work and at your home?
He had told me prior he was going to get me fired on several occasions, and even that day, he said, I will get you fired. I'll come to your job. I'll get you fired. He didn't appreciate throughout our marriage the fact that I prioritized my job, and that was something that was consistent. So initially, when I heard it, it didn't seem out of the ordinary, but he definitely stated it several times.
When you went to the Flint Police Department or made contact reference this report, was it your impression or understanding that that report had been filed?
It was my understanding that that report had been filed. They told me that my main priority, because I let them know what I wanted to do moving forward. They had asked me, did he have keys to my house and things like that? And I said no. And he said, are you planning to do a protective order? And I said yes, and he redirected me to where to go. But my understanding was that initial report was on record.
Was it on record?
Later on, I discovered it wasn't. The officer remembered me from the conversation, but I did not actually get that record or that report on record until a few months later, after Huntington started to do their investigation, because I lost my job behind that situation. And they followed up with their protocols, and at a certain point, they let me know that they were going to be pressing charges against him due to the threat of blowing up the building or blowing up my vehicle while it was at the building. So that's when I started getting more information about what was actually already existing and what wasn't. The PPO was filed, but the actual report was not.
Did you follow up and then recontact the police department?
Yes, I went back to the police department and I talked to an individual, I believe he's present in court. And they pretty much just tried to trace back to the day that I came up, the time, and was able to make contact with me and get it on record. And they also cited the initial date that I went into the police department and spoke with them with the report.
And you followed up with the Flint Police Department around February 22nd of 2023.
Yes, that was when I was informed that it was not on record, that the PPO was filed, but not the police report.
The information you gave them in February of 2023, was that the same information and was it accurate or it happened in October of 2022?
Yes, and I provided them with timestamps, phone records, and visual proof of what had occurred that day as well.
Was any of this reporting motivated by your pending divorce?
No, I didn't file for divorce until June of this year, and that occurred in February.
Thank you. I have nothing further on.
Oh, thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Is for you said that on October 24th, 2022, you received multiple calls from Mr. Ford, is that correct?
Yes,
Do you have your phone records recording those calls?
I have screenshots recording the missed
I'm
calls
sorry,
that I
I can't hear you.
received. Yes, I have screenshots. I have screenshots in my phone right now showing all of the missed calls that I received from him that day, as well as our contact.
You have 3 texts, you say?
You said screenshots?
Oh, screenshots. Do they show the date?
Yes,
On that day, Mr. Ford, he lived in Detroit at that time, is that correct?
yes,
And he brought the children, well, how many children do you have with Mr. Ford?
5.
And 4 of those children or 3 of those children go to the academy, is that correct?
What academy?
On Saginaw, just south of 69.
Yes, some of my children attend a school in Saginaw.
And he was dropping the children off that morning, is that true at school?
I don't know, because that morning, earlier in that morning, he told me he was not bringing my children back to me at all. And I had to reach out to his mother to ask her to intervene because he was stating he was not returning the children. So I don't know. I had no knowledge of that.
Later in the day, did you pick up the children from school?
I don't recall.
Were the children home with you that night?
Yes,
Where did you pick them up that day?
I don't recall.
So it could have been at the school, is what you're saying?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered twice. She said she doesn't remember.
Response?
And the question is, could it have been at school?
I don't recall that particular day. So many traumatic things had occurred to me, and I have a proclivity of losing things when things like that are going on. I blacked out a lot from that day, and I honestly do not recall. I don't remember what occurred that day. I don't know if my parents did something. If I don't remember, I don't remember. I don't recall.
And then on October 24th, you talked to a police officer. Is your testimony, is that correct?
Yes, we're saying October 24th, that day.
2022.
I don't remember the exact date of these occurrences, but the day of this occurrence, yes, I went to the police department and I spoke to an officer.
And did you get a copy of the complaint?
No, I did not receive a copy of the complaint.
And then from there, you went to another building, a city building, a county building, and filed a PPO, is that correct?
Yes.
What building did you go to?
The same building. I'm not sure. Is it this building that we're sitting in? I can't remember, but it's the same building that has where with the Office of Vital Records. I found in the appropriate building where you would file a PPO, personal protective order.
And what happened to the personal protective order?
The judge granted the personal protective order. I had to explain in detail in written format what had occurred that day and list everything that had occurred. And I had to submit it. It was submitted and the judge approved it.
And do you have a copy of the PPO, your copy?
I do.
And you have that available for the prosecutor?
I can provide a copy if the prosecutor needs it.
And you had been to Keelan's home in Detroit before, is that correct? You'd gone down there to pick up the kids or drop off the kids or something of that nature?
I don't know if I had at that time because we would usually meet in Clarkston to drop the children.
He was what, I'm sorry?
I don't know if I had at that time, at the time that this occurred, because we normally would meet in Clarkston and drop the children off. I know at some point, one time I did have to drive them to his home, but I don't know if it was before this occurred or after. I can't remember.
Now, the PPO was never actually in effect, was it?
What do you mean?
Was he served with a PPO?
I don't believe he was served with the PPO. However, he was aware of it because he called me about it. And
But the question was he served?
I don't know if he was served. I know we attempted to serve him several times. I don't believe he was successfully served. But I know he was aware of it because he called me about it. He tried to leave the country and they told him that he had a personal protective order, and he called me upset, stating that because I had filed the protective order against him, it delayed his travel out of the States.
Did you receive a return that the PPO had been served?
Your objection for relevance.
Response?
Credibility of what?
Ma'am, it's okay, let me in.
He was never served with a PPO, is what I'm trying to establish. I think we can get that from the PPO office on the second floor.
I'm gonna sustain the objection because I do believe that line of questioning has been answered, and I mean, at this point, I don't know the relevance to the matters at hand, so you can move on.
On October 24th, you said that you were called down to security and your broken TV was there?
Yes, they stated that he dropped it off.
And that Huntington Bank was going to pursue charges against Mr. Ford? Was your testimony, is that correct?
Yes, they had
Did
told
they
me.
do that?
I'm not sure. I don't work there anymore. This particular event costed me my job. So I'm not aware of where
There's a
they.
lot you'd like to add. If you
Mhm.
just try and respond to the questions as we go through.
I was responding. I'm not certain if they've done because I'm no longer an employee there due to.
You
the
said that
situation.
the TV was broken and it was smashed from a hammer.
Yes,
How did you decide it was a hammer at the security desk?
how did I decide it was a hammer?
When you were at the security desk?
When I spoke to Keelan, he told me right before he stated that he was gonna kill me and my mother, he told me that that hammer was the least of my worries. That's how I knew it was smashed with a hammer. It was also consistent with the holes that were punched in the TV, but that's how I knew because he told me.
I must have missed the testimony. When did he say he was going to kill you and your mother?
Over the phone, after during one of the conversations where we've spoken, and I believe that's also in the PPO as well as the report.
Then a report that you don't have, that was not.
I do have a report, but
No,
the initial
the
report.
One you filed with the police officer on October 24th
Mhm,
in the afternoon of
mhm.
2022.
Mhm.
Do you have a copy of that complaint?
I have a copy of the police report that was filed, that was filed on that.
In October of 24.
I have a police report that was filed in February stating and citing the initial report was placed in October.
Going back to October 24th, 2022,
Mhm,
you talked to a police officer. You
correct.
didn't know his name, you said he had bald head. Did you get a copy of the complaint that you made that day
I have a copy of the complaint that was made
in
in
February?
reference to that
That-
conversation. I do not have a copy of that day, because as we stated before, a copy was not, an actual complaint was not entered because they wanted to get me right to the PPO to get that taken care of. After I explained what had occurred, where I'd been threatened and my home was broken into and all the things that had occurred, and I wanted a PPO. However, the
So
day,
your answer is no, you do not have a copy of the complaint the police officer wrote on October 24th.
my answer
2022.
is
that correct?
my answer is I only have a copy.
Please. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna object. Also, there's some part of the question that's gonna call for speculation. She doesn't know if the officer will report or not on the 24th, so it's a compound question, and it's getting to the point of, it's asked and answered. I guess she's not answering like he wants, but it's badgering the witness to a certain extent as well.
Attorney Blanchard, response to the objection?
Your Honor, her reference to a complaint filed later in February of 5 months later in this year of 2023 references that she had made a complaint earlier. There's no proof of that. However, taking her at her statement, it would be, I just asked that any reference to a complaint made in October 2024 is stricken. There's no proof of it. Now, it may be resolved when we get records from the PPO office, which have to be, of course, subpoenaed. But for the purposes of today, it just is, it's cumbersome. Question becomes, what happened at Huntington Bank on that day, really?
Okay, well, the question right now is what's the response to the objection, which boiled down to, I think, compound questions requiring compound answers, I think, is what
Yes,
that
thank
was.
you.
All right, and the response to that is, what's the response to the objection? I understand why you're asking the questions.
It isn't a compound question.
Okay.
It goes to the veracity of a complaint that she filed 5 months later. And so that's what I'm exploring.
All right, hold on. All right, here's the situation. The question I heard being asked was a yes or no question, and it wasn't being answered with a yes or no answer. So that's where the complications are coming here. So I'll say, as far as the objection, I will sustain the objection, but I will allow you, Attorney Blanchard, to ask the yes or no question that you were asking. And then, ma'am, you need to answer with a yes or no answer. Okay, go ahead.
Did you receive a copy of the police report written on October 24th, 2022?
Do I have a copy? No. Did I receive a copy? No.
All right, the answer is no. All right, now hold on before we move on. Hold on before we move on. You asked me to strike something from the record. I want to make sure we address that. You're asking me to strike any testimony in regards to a possible police report or contact made on October 24th of 2022, correct? Was that your request?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, in response to the request.
Thank you. I'd ask the court to not agree to that. As the court knows, there is a jury instruction that indicates testimony is evidence, and she's given testimony, so there is evidence that it was reported.
Yes, and that is absolutely true. Testimony is evidence, and this woman is saying that that's what she did. That is evidence, whether or not the jury or people want to believe the evidence, that's, that goes to weight, not to admissibility. So overruled.
How did you get a hold of the police department on October 24th, 2022?
That's an open-ended question. It's not a yes or no. Is that okay?
I'm sorry,
It's not a yes or no answer. Is that okay?
did you call 911?
No.
How did you get a hold of the police department
I walked into the police department.
on Saginaw?
Yes. And I walked up to the counter and I spoke with an officer at the counter at the police department in October.
At any time, have you attempted to get from Huntington Bank a statement of the security officer or the video from the bank?
Can you ask that again?
You, for the October 24th, 2022 events, have you asked Huntington Bank for a video of their security area where people come into the bank?
No.
Have you gotten any statements from Huntington Bank?
We asked for a statement.
You had said that they were going to press charges.
Mhm.
How did you know that?
Because at the time that this occurred, when I was called into the office for disciplinary action, the security, after I left and I was escorted out, the security officer at that time told me that they had completed a report and that they were likely going to bring charges due to the threat, and this was a federal building.
And
Everything beyond that, I haven't been in the circle, as I stated before, because I'm no longer an employee there.
and you didn't try and preserve any video evidence? You didn't ask that video evidence be recorded or supplied?
I obtained my own video evidence of the event, and as well, we had discussed it, so we have text messages.
Inside
and all
the
of that.
bank, Huntington Bank, you obtained your own video?
Yes, when I went down there and I saw the TV sitting on there, they asked me, did I want to take pictures? And I said yes, and I took pictures and video of the TV, of my TV, sitting on top of the counter after Mr. Ford had dropped it off.
Have you supplied that video to the police department?
The police department does have that.
I would assume we can attack. Is that correct?
I don't know if they have it, but if we do have it, you'll have it.
When did Mr. Ford move out of the home on Gratiot Avenue? The month or year?
I believe it to be July of 22. That's when I believe it to be. I believe it was July of 2022. Am I able to clarify something? Because I know we want simple.
Nope, not at this time, ma'am. You can only answer questions.
You mean officially though, right?
Just wait for the next question. That's fine.
One moment. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just real briefly, and do you remember the value of your TV? How much did you pay for it?
I don't recall. I don't. I did look it up, but I don't remember how much I paid for it.
Would you say it was over or under $200?
Over.
Over 200?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
One follow-up there.
I don't allow cross-examination. There's no such thing.
Well, it was based on the additional question
Okay, well, so you're saying you want to ask a question based on
on the TV.
I suppose if it's based on the value of the TV, because that was not brought up
Correct.
during previous questioning. Only as to that.
Who bought the TV?
Objection relevance.
Oh.
Objection overruled. It is a relevant question. Go ahead and ask.
Who bought the TV? We did.
We,
Yes.
you and Keelan.
Yes.
You bought it together?
Yes, he asked.
And where did you buy it from?
It was purchased from Best Buy.
Not Walmart?
We have several. Some are from Walmart, some are from Best Buy. That one was purchased at Best Buy.
And it originally was going to a church, is that correct?
No,
Objection, Your Honor. This is going beyond the scope.
Well, it goes to the value, which we haven't established. I'll withdraw.
All right, question withdrawn. All right, thank you. All right, any additional questions in regards to Attorney Blanchard's questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, ma'am, you are excused as a witness. You may step down, and you are welcome to stay for my ruling if you want to, but if you need to leave, you may do that as well. Any other witnesses, Attorney Meyer?
No, Your Honor.
All right. See, any other evidence to be presented, or does the prosecution rest?
The prosecution will rest, Your Honor.
Okay, and does the defense have anything to present today?
My understanding was that there was a police officer here that took the report.
Yes.
Okay. And you're not going to call him?
No.
I would like to call him briefly, Your Honor.
All right. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Yes.
All right, come on up and have a seat in the witness stand. Go ahead, Attorney Blanchard.
Thank you. Question. Officer, would you state and spell your name, please?
Dakari Williams, Dakari, last name Williams, Williams.
And you have seen the police report that we've discussed today?
No, I have not.
You heard testimony that video of a TV that had been broken up or damaged was taken at Huntington Bank. Is that correct?
I don't recall anything about a video.
Did you receive a video from the complainant?
No.
Did you, in follow-up to this, in I'm talking about the February complaint now, not the October complaint. In follow-up to that, did you talk to people at Huntington Bank?
No.
I have nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Officer.
Any cross-examination?
Just real briefly. Isn't it true that the Clinton Police Department has a detective bureau?
Correct. Yes.
And isn't it true that after you take an initial report, that's often turned over to the detective bureau?
Yes.
And isn't it true this case was then turned over to now retired Sergeant Dave Hansen?
Yes.
And any follow-up would have been done with him?
Yes.
And nothing further.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Nothing.
For my own benefit, attorneys, do you mind if I ask one question about where Mr. Officer Williams is employed? That wasn't asked and
Thank you.
is that all right? Okay.
That's fine.
Where are you employed, please?
Currently not employed.
Where were you previously employed in February of 2023?
City of Flint Police Department.
All right, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions based on mine?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, you may step down, sir. You're excused as a witness. Okay. Any other witnesses or evidence? Attorney Blanchard.
No, Your Honor.
All right, defense rests. Thank you. All right, both parties having rested, then the people and defense may make their arguments in regards to bind over. Before we do that, I do believe that there was one issue we may need to address, Attorney Meyer. Are you adding any additional charges or no?
I would be asking the court to add account 3 of felonious assault.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Count 3,
Count 3 for what?
felonious assault.
And hold on one moment. All right, that's MCL 750.82, assault with a dangerous weapon and or felonious assault. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and that comes with a possible penalty of up to 4 years and or a $2,000 fine. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. We ask the court to find this matter over based on probable cause of testimony of Ms. Ford, Sharonda Ford, the home invasion that occurred in October of 2022 with the defendant going into her house, causing the damage to her TV that was located in the house, the value being more than $200. In addition, the count 2, the misdemeanor would follow. Count 3, we would ask the court to add that based on the testimony that the defendant raced towards the victim at a high rate of speed, and she had to run to avoid being hit by his vehicle, and the vehicle would be what the people would add as the weapon that was being used at that point. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Attorney Blanchard.
Your Honor, I believe that this is a matter that should be litigated in family court nonetheless. As to available evidence at this time, I ask that the court consider that since this occurred in October of 2022, months afterwards, security video from inside and as well as outside of Huntington Bank is not available and hasn't been furnished. I ask the court to consider that, and certainly the record to reflect it. Verifiable support for the complaint certainly is or was readily available, and we'll do the best we can going forward.
All right, thank you. Well, in a preliminary examination in regards to felony charges, the burden does rest with the people through the prosecutor's office to show by a probable cause basis that these alleged crimes did occur, that they occurred here in this venue of Genesee County, and that it was the defendant that committed these crimes. I do find that the prosecutor's office has met their burden today in regards to count 1 and count 2, as well as the proposed addition of count 3. We heard testimony, and testimony is evidence, as stated earlier today, from Sharonda Ford, that there was an incident with her estranged spouse, Keelan Ford, who she identified here today, that on October 24th of 2022, she was working at Huntington Bank at 328 South Saginaw Street. That's in Flint, City of Flint, County of Genesee, State of Michigan, that she had received multiple calls from Mr. Ford. He was upset, said he was going to come and see her at her work, continued to call, and then actually did show up at her work there at the Huntington Bank on Saginaw Street. That time she did not go down to see him. She was told he was being belligerent and trying to get into doors to find her. She did eventually answer her phone, and Mr. Ford stated that she better move her effing truck or he was going to blow it up. She went out to move the vehicle into the parking garage that is there near the Huntington Bank. And when she was walking across the street to go back into the Huntington Bank building, Mr. Ford raced towards her in his Camaro, and she had to run to the side of the street to avoid being hit by the Camaro. He then left and went towards the direction of her home. Shortly thereafter, she received a call that Mr. Ford had come back and left a TV there for her. And when she went down to see, it was her large flat screen TV sitting on a security desk. And by Ms. Ford's words, it was bashed up. And she did say later upon cross-examination that Mr. Ford had told her he used a hammer to do that. She did recognize it as her own television. She stated she took video and pictures at that time. Also stated she had text messages and whatnot of the interaction. That the value of the television was over $200, and did state that that was a TV that she bought, whether it was together with Mr. Ford or not, was in her possession, and therefore the value of the television goes to her. The TV, when she went home, of course, was not there because it was that TV, and she could tell when she took it back home, even though it was damaged when she plugged it in, it was definitely her television, and it was not damaged before it arrived there at the Huntington Bank. Ms. Ford stated that the defendant does not live in her home. They are estranged. He lives in Detroit. She lives at 3613 Gratiot Avenue in the city of Flint, County of Genesee, State of Michigan, and believes that Mr. Ford had moved out in July of 2022 or thereabouts. He did not have permission to go into her home. He did not have keys to go into her home. He went through a side window to get into that home, and she could tell by the way the window was and the area around it was this way. Ms. Ford stated she did report the matter to Flint Police Department in October of 2022. She went to the police department to do so, but they did not make a police record of it at that time. However, subsequently, she did go to the PPO, Personal Protection Office, to get a personal protection order. States that that was granted by the judge. Does not know if he was served, but doesn't think that he was. She knew that he knew about it because he tried to leave the United States and was not able to because of the personal protection order. She did follow up with the police February of 2023. And then was a police report generated at that time. I'll note that Miss Ford also stated that she was actually released from her job at Huntington Bank because of these actions by the defendant. I'll also just note that Miss Ford stated that over the phone, Mr. Ford indicated that he was going to kill her and her mother. All right. So in regards to the counts that I have here today, count 1, home invasion in 3rd degree. There is probable cause to believe that Keelan Juwan Ford did break and enter or did enter without permission a dwelling located at 3613 Gratiot Avenue in Flint, Michigan. And while entering, present in, or exiting the dwelling, did commit a malicious destruction of personal property, $200 or more, but less than $1,000, contrary to MCL 750.110A4. Hold on 1 second. I think there's a typo in this. In the felony complaint that I'm looking at, Attorney Meyer, it states that entering present dwelling did commit a malicious destruction of property, $200 or more, but less than $1,000, a misdemeanor, contrary to MCL 750.110A4, but then it's listed as a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or $2,000.
I think the
And-
misdemeanor goes towards the MDOP,
Toward-
indicating that he committed a misdemeanor while in the
home.
which
Okay.
makes invasion 3rd.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So the home invasion 3rd degree is a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or a $2,000 fine. Count 2 is the malicious destruction of personal property, $200 or more, but less than $1,000. That is a misdemeanor charge, but I do like to go over those. They naturally follow the felony charges, but I like to go over them at the preliminary examination anyway. There is probable cause to believe that Keelan Ford did willfully and maliciously destroy or injure windows on a house and a flat screen television. The personal property of Sharonda Ford, and the amount of the destruction or injury was $200 or more, but less than $1,000, contrary to MCL 750.377A1CI. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year and or a $2,000 fine, or 3 times the amount of the destruction or injured property, whichever is greater. Prosecutor requested to add a count 3 of felonious assault. And I do find that there is probable cause basis to add that count. And let me go back to where I need to be. That is assault with a dangerous weapon or felonious assault, that Mr. Ford did make an assault upon Sharonda Ford with a dangerous weapon to a vehicle, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder, contrary to MCL 750.82. That is a felony punishable by up to 4 years and or a $2,000 fine. So Attorney Meyer, a revised information will need to be provided to the court with the additional count on it, please.
Yes,
All right, and provided, of course, to Attorney Blanchard as well. All right, matter will be bound over to circuit court on the 3 counts. And is there anything else before we finish here today, attorneys?
Not from the people you're on.
Nothing from the bench on.
All right, thank you.
What,
Judge, I like it.
Judge Kelly. She will be setting the next court dates. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Attorney Blanchard, if you can just do me a favor when you leave and just make sure that Miss Ford and Mr. Ford don't have any contact.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. We'll take a little 5 minute break. Yeah, I'll sign these things first and then. Okay, we are going to move on to Fox next. And I guess let me ask this, is this going to be an exam, Attorney Belser?
Yes.
Okay, court needs to take a 5-minute break. We will come back and we will do Fox and then we will do Rouser.
All rise.
Also, we talked about.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Steve, charger.
I do in my bag. Very short cord.
No, I think what we're going to actually do is I'm going to dismiss count 1 before he's already in prison
Right.
until at least 25.
Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, not him, but this long.
All right. Oh, okay, cool. Something like this.
It's a best charter, so.
Oh, okay.
Answer.
If you tell the judge that she just needs 5 more minutes. I agree. I also copied 152 copies. So that figuring was.
thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really good reach. Make an attempt. Yeah, would you mind, like, writing that up for me? Yeah, will do. Don't mind. Yep. So. I liked your email this morning. We have a police form or?
Theoretically, should be on the right-hand side somewhere in there unless he's out. Oh, they're usually right there. He's just.
He told me to write it up. I'll go find
I don't
it.
know.
Ms. Fox, your attorney wants to speak with you. She's in the ante room left. So we're going to the counterfeit charges to dismiss the counterfeits. And then he's going to plead to single attempt of providing false information to the police and to a peace officer. So that'll be misdemeanor. And then if Ms. Fox is willing to make the offer that that'll be.
You said that. That's 771.
Yeah,
She's gonna want substance abuse eval before she sentences.
oh, that's fine. I was actually a part of the agreement too. I was suggesting narcotics anonymous. Which I don't know what type of programs the court has. I don't know.
Sentencing date would be August 29th. So you
Wait for what?
for Ms. Fox after the eval. I'm sorry, today's the day before my birthday.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
It's my last day of being in my 40s.
Wow, how does it feel?
Ugh, like I'm dying.
Just had some, there's this band that I really listened So they did it with boys and I still feel like
That's only the second time I've ever heard a defense attorney call it.
oh, yeah, that's, I was thinking about, and that of all witnesses, it was the
Yeah.
officer. There's like nothing that you want from that.
Explore the lines of that.
Also, I rarely get to hear other people doing